getting in. And we're going into the first game between Magpie and Gravesh. There we go. So I need to refresh the bands.
Lovely. Yep.
So this is last match of the day. Gravesh, who is also Babsy against Magpie, best of 5, so players need to win 3 games to progress into the quarterfinals that will be played, well, next week.
Yeah, so, yeah, I was gonna say this is gonna be the ultimate test of carryover. Maybe the reason you don't even run this, wait, oh no, sorry, it was Gravesh who isn't running the sappers. No, Magpie does actually have the sappers. So the cultists will be trying to get in carryover in the form of the infusions, and eventually when they play the scenario. I believe we might actually just see the scenario played to secure a round win here by the cultists. Your lose condition is probably the elves trying to force a shorter round with a big simless. Yeah.
Okay, let's see. So what is the Saphonis doing in your hand? Why is it there? And how do you avoid that? So, well, there is a curse scroll. Okay, yeah. Just getting into
There's also... there is verification. You do have to proc the snare the same turn, which...
But, yeah. Fun is just... I was getting into the game slowly. So I didn't notice everything immediately, but there we go. Fun at the bottom of the deck. We see more infusions coming through.
That's what they call it.
So no answers to the Angus outside of stuff stuck in deck, the lock, but the lock doesn't really help you much with the cargoes. Just the carryover and more carryover in forms of tags is so cute, but people seem to hate cultists so much.
I mean, it's like the giving more units the cult tag is cute.
No, I mean, it's not the usual form of carryover in Gwent where you are just having points on top of points with mutant generator or units on the board. Like you are just spreading initially a tag. But
until the scenario comes down and that just a cute little tag turns into a
infusion, still not points. Look, it's still not points.
Oh, it's a way to directly get points because it turns it into an engine.
Yeah.
But yes, it is certainly a little different if you're just looking on the surface. See the full leader coming down. You have to play like this because you do know that Magpie is running a verification. Don't want this cult to turn into some kind of bear party. I don't know.
First apologies, gentle sir.
And the supper probably comes down to get the Angus with a little more carryover. So the Elven Deadeyes will now be playing for 6 points each. Nice little finish off on the Deacon as well to try and deny a little bit of the engine value for Gravesh. But actually, might have a decentish time contesting here. As Magpie with the Neophyte, Serpent Trap might be able to do something to set up your Saboteur as well.
Okay, let's see. So Marta is bringing the waylay that you don't really want to see in your hand. Getting battle stations. Yeah, it's pretty nice activating the the Magni division, a bronze that you wouldn't mind dropping here.
Although I don't think you wanna use the battle stations here at all.
I mean, in general, if you are feeling like you are contesting and you are afraid of getting pushed, having the option for that is a possibility. But yeah, there is not even a target for illusionist. So cultists usually try to win round 1 because all their problems are coming from losing that and not getting the deacons in your hand. Missing scenario completely. Not missing scenario because the curse scroll is getting seeing the most play in this deck. But yeah, we see that the bronze is just being played from hand, so no battle stations. You'd prefer later.
And look, if the Saboteur does come down here, then a profit from Gravesh would basically force Magpie out of the round, I think, because you just wouldn't be able to play the Velocity, which is probably what you'd need to catch up at this point, I'd say.
True. We've even seen the Prophet being played in non-cultist decks occasionally. I think Denirai was running that.
Yeah, it's also quite curious that Gravesh used the infusion there onto an elf and just, well, set it up to be transformed by Neophyte. Then maybe the Neophyte wasn't on board yet at that point. Actually, yeah, I guess the Neophyte got played after. It's actually nice from Magpie to get rid of the infusion, get rid of the potential Death Wish, maintain a little more reach in this round.
And then you go, the locked hand is present, but there was a Saboteur, but yeah, playing Saboteur for 3 points is not incredible.
The problem here is that the Prophet triggers all the cultist engines on Gravesh's side of the board, but then Magpie is playing a literal 3-point play, which doesn't develop anything and doesn't even get to have a deploy. So the Prophet basically freezes Magpie's side of things whilst letting the cultists develop even more, and that's enough to force the elves to bow down and pass.
So searching for some bronzes, but not particularly that one.
Yeah, got a nice little break. I mean, I don't think you're bleeding here, regardless.
But
so
it's just maybe it's even better to find that card that you need to mulligan.
Yeah, if you're able to mulligan it before your last mulligan, it's usually a little better. Because then there's just less risk of you drawing into it on your last mulligan and having it as a proper brick.
Okay, Necro is a cultist, Royal Decree is a cultist, Teleportation is, well, a cultist as well, less exciting.
Yeah.
So, is there any reason to mulligan though? There is another Nausicaa.
Yeah, you wouldn't mind having a Vilgefortz or the in hand here, I guess. But you'll be thinning a lot of your deck anyways between the Magni and the battle stations. You'll be drawing 3 cards in total. Oh, sorry, and the Dandelion gives you a 4th card you can draw. And then the Decree to probably just pull the Vilgefortz if it's not drawn from one of the 4 draws. Yeah, there's a lot of just engine vomit that's going to happen right now. It does just start with the operator onto the initiate.
Yeah, no way to transform the initiate here. He's sticking to that side of the board for some time, but at the same time we don't see Duchess's informant at the moment. Well, Vigo needs to hit the informant. So Gravesh basically at the moment looks at thinning the Nausicaas out and starting his board setup as fast as possible.
My boots are sand aplenty.
Okay, draws into one of the brigades. Unfortunate brick there for Gravesh. Instead, we see the early decree onto what, like an informant?
Yeah, I guess informant to set up more potential infusions there.
Yeah, there is a sapper, but even if you get rid of this one purify, this one infusion with the purify, well, you know there's at least one initiate on board and another in hand, which are staring down this already quite damaged initiate on Magpie's side of the board.
So this is a setup for the Reordain. Using leader charges is cute for that. So Reordain is a really nice addition to the elf family in Gwent. What we're looking at here, the self ping by the archer, removing the partition.
You accept.
Yeah.
Yeah. You accept the first initiate is just going to be killed with the infusion. So you basically say, I don't want you to get another free spawn onto an initiate with the order that you're going to have now. So I'm just going to get rid of it. And for good measure, I'm also going to kill the informant just to make it a bit harder for you to, well, get these infusion death wishes off as well.
At the same time, the archer itself is sadly 2-point unit.
Yeah.
So she gets into the cult quite fast there.
Yeah. So one moment she was fighting very desperately against the cult, but the next, well,
yeah, I guess I'm joining now.
Ideals. Yeah.
And it's
it doesn't feel
incredible
great
to play
But
1 point Nausicaa Brigade that actually plays for like potential +5, +3 on some of your units. So yeah, but would have been better to thin to 0.
Feign not ignorant. Remember to whom
So
you
some of the cultists are weaker and the elves can deal with them.
the daisy of the valley!
So how many actually the boosty ones? We have operator at 24 power there.
and every cult is boosting by 6.
Yes. The Nausicaa Brigade at 5, but yeah, there is at the moment only 2 infused cultists on the board. Everything else is just there for the ride.
But I'm looking at Magpie's board right now. Let's assume that these cargoes have already been played. You only have 5 more spaces on your board left, and you have 5 units in a trap in your hand, and 2 leader charges. So something is not getting value here.
Yeah, and he killed 2 of the units himself as well. So he
But
would
they
have been...
spawned more Deadeyes anyways.
No, yeah. But I mean, if he didn't and he found the value somewhere, like on those 1 point units at the moment, he would have been out of board space already. So yeah, you need to start clicking cargo on something. And well, Vernacell is one of the cards that you can do it on. Also
Some nice kills, sniped the 1 power initiate in particular.
Do you Wilgefortz that? Preventing the teleportation, so to say. It might be
Good.
pretty good. Yeah, we see the Vilga and Neophyte drop in instead of a Saboteur, but with Neophyte the possible transformation.
The offensive sapper used there to stop the operator being an engine, and you could actually use the cargo to replay the operator, which happens here, and will deny the infusion onto Nausicaa Brigade. So now the engine value for Gravesh is largely gone.
Yeah, all he has now is points on the board, but yeah.
Vilgefortz still has the engine infusion. Master of Ceremonies does as well. But this Van Moldam Hunter is not a cultist. It's actually just a really awkward, yeah, well, I guess bleeding unit here. It's, yeah, not that great.
There is no like spores in Magpie's deck. It would have been nice to have another Toll Punish instead of this Squirrel.
And the second initiate now. That was actually the teleportation used to get the second initiate. But by playing like this, you're able to double infuse the Neophyte and kill it in one turn with the Master of Ceremonies and get quite a good spawn. Like, this is a thing, like in a long round like this, cultists even turn into a pseudo swarm payoff deck with the initiates. And knowing that Magpie decides, okay, I need to use my Yavin to kill one of these initiates. And also the Isengrim to protect against the infusion Death Wish going through all in one turn.
So pretty close by the looks of it, yeah, this Squirrel is literally worse than a leader charge.
I mean, you don't play the Squirrel here when the Pitfall Trap exists, right? Worst case scenario, Pitfall Trap is 6 points, 6 damage.
You can open up 2 spaces, right? You can kill the Seamless with Neophyte, nothing spawns there. But then you just use your leader instead of the Squirrel.
Right?
Oh wait, for some reason I was I was thinking about the other gold that Magpie actually played Elias before the dispatch. He was one of the believers, so I was connecting that in my mind somehow, but yeah. Here we just cargoing the Isengrim and playing a Pitfall, but this Pitfall is only playing for 7 max.
Yeah, this is actually a little interesting. Elves might be able to barely take it here.
So this is a 5-point one Murleham. Do you actually play it? No.
You know what this trap is.
Do you play it on the Deacon? Yeah, infuse it, but you don't have enough payoffs. Like this Vilgefortz is buffing by
3 plus 4.
And this is a tie. So Magpie manages to carry over a Squirrel into the next game, right?
Wow.
That's only fair.
Yeah. I mean, after that, Magpie does deserve an extra Squirrel next game.
Okay, so any lines to take? Pretty cool match, not gonna lie. With all the hate cultists are getting and elves being laughed at, turned out to be into a nice showcase.
The fact that I think part of the reason why the cargo was floated for so long is it stops Gravesh being able to have complete free range with the infusions, because part of me was expecting Gravesh to just infuse this Neophyte, so he was able to try and like secure the Death Wish by playing a few more cultists. But you can't actually afford to do that, because then the elves can just replay the infused unit with the cargo and the infusion goes away. Now granted, I think that probably would have still been better if you use the infusion a couple turns earlier on the Neophyte. You're perhaps able to threaten a bit more of a kill. And if they do use the last cargo on the Neophyte, they're not using it on the Isengrim for even more points.
Okay, so let's see a repeat of that. Well, a fun is being held in hand once again, and quite likely on purpose. Elves having access to Arcane Tome. That means the heist, but that also means access to potential teleportation by the cultists. Deacon is present here. And we see Babsy boing boing. Mulligan in a couple of golds.
This might be the kind of game where you just use Curse Scroll to get the second Deacon into your hand. You might just click the Curse Scroll, get the Deacon, put the Afar into bottom of deck. Because you already have your scenario in hand, you have your Matter to draw into your next highest provision gold card. So I think that could just be the way to go. Particularly now that the Serpent Trap is used. I think we're going to see the second Deacon coming out. If there was a Pitfall Trap in hand for Magpie,
Set the stage.
he could do the chat move of just clicking it immediately here and denying the second Deacon, stopping the teleportations.
Yeah, I think it might have been even worth it to lead a charge and play Reordain if you had the access, but sadly, no.
I would agree.
No Reordain as well. So the teleportation and the spread of the cultist disease happening at the moment, and nothing Magpie can do about it.
Instead, you're just going to try and steal some veggies from the cult. Guess you better hope there's nothing in those veggies, because that could be a bit of a problem. But
so, soldier is lacking the infusion. If the teleportation is getting played, instead goes for the necromancy way.
yes, just trying to get as many infusions from these deacons as possible, because I expect we'll be seeing the scenario coming down next turn for the cultists. On the flip side of things, Magpie just developing the Angus with the sappers, has both sappers in hand here. So I believe the Angus will be getting replayed like getting the deployability of 4 different times this game. I think we'll be seeing a 4 power Deadeye.
So this is a scenario for Gravesh with full leader. Most likely, yeah. Is he buffing? His initiate also gets a couple of buffs here. And the entire hand full of cultists, but only Prophet was there at the beginning, but he got a lot of followers there.
He foretold that the cult would become even more widespread. Probably see, I wonder if you see the Prophet coming down here, if you see the Matter being played first. I believe those are the 2 golds you'll play to trigger the scenario here. You see the infusion coming out onto the Deadeye, which is interesting. Not putting onto the Saboteur, because that could be replayed with the cargo and the infusion would be denied. So
makes sense. Also, I'm not certain how happy are you playing Matter here, giving your opponent another playable card. Well, if you get the melee, you're happy, but something like Neophyte might be actually a playable card that can be played for like a reach instead of committing a goal. But yeah, we see Magpie with the locked hand decides to pass. Once again, the same issue. Well, your Prophet is triggering this scenario, gets another cultist out of there, points, and you are stuck with a 4 and 2 point no deploy bronzes.
Yeah, and the nice thing with the Matter still being in hand as we go into probably a long round 3 is that playing her essentially extends the round 3 from a 10 card round to an 11 card round. because both players will end up playing 11 cards, and as Mata is now part of the cult, she's actually an engine in and of herself as well.
So, will board space be an issue this time around? Let's find out.
Well, I would expect so, since, well, it's gonna basically be an 11 card round. Although you don't see the deception in hand, but you might be forced to play it if you end up replaying the Reorden. Like, the deception was basically a 0-point play in the last game because it got flipped early and you had excess leader charges anyways.
So, currently there are no waylays in the deck for the Seamless to play. Both of them are in hand. We also have seen that Mulligan was taken and waylay stayed in hand, so maybe. On one hand, you don't want a million waylays swarming your side of the board. On the other hand, you are kinda cool with waylays killing the cultists that are scaling into infinite value.
The problem is if the waylays on or being played from Simless, it's like really difficult for them to actually end up getting a kill here.
Yep. That's what I mean. So a bit awkward. Not playing Vanadine in the previous rounds, but we literally have a dead Simless at the moment, right? Which is funny, but
yeah. But also the Vanadine does not help when it comes to overswarming either.
Yeah.
As you command, Daisy.
Okay, so Seamless for 2 is live. You can potentially deal with a couple of brigades and whatnot. But yeah, you are spawning extra units on the board with Vanadine.
So you need to play the Mata before you get your battle stations in hand to do your big combo with the Magni into battle stations into 2 bronzes. You also probably want to play the Operator onto Initiate at some point, maybe before that. Yeah, and you note that the Initiate goes onto the front row here, because if you see the Vanadine back row, you're like, I'm not going to give you another unit on that row. I'm going to let you particularly struggle with the space by splitting up the row that I play onto.
But look at those beautiful 6-point tokens, so good.
Yeah.
You should be happy with an extra 6 on your board. Can't complain too much about it. So yeah, Magpie is like Gravesh in this position should only like consider how do I let my opponent overswarm and how do I get my cultist sequencing correct. Magpie has between sequencing and his own board space to and killing the cultists, or at least trying to stop a couple of them from growing. Yeah. Has a pretty tough job here.
To see the early illusionist coming out, it doesn't feel amazing. However, Gravesh last game had the bricked brigade from the draw. This game is like, I don't want to deal with that again, so I'm just going to play my illusionist early and force these soldiers out.
But at the same time, both of them are just getting denied.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. By not sequencing them in the same turn as the battle stations, they're a lot more vulnerable to die.
With me, you'll forget your sorrows.
That's
here comes the Mata giving a squirrel for Magpie, which isn't achieving awfully much. It's just a 4-point body is going to struggle to play.
Yeah, somewhat unfortunate. Having a neophyte was potentially more giving you more freedom to play around infusions.
And this Magni isn't actually infused as well. It's just, in this case, an extra 2 points.
Oh yeah, maybe that squirrel was the carryover from the previous game, but not in the form Magpie would have liked it.
Maybe.
So deciding what bronzes to play.
Solid draws. Also, if we speak about the board clog as well, like this informant is going to do a pretty nice job at the board clog, and using the offensive bleeding here.
I'm so tired.
Just helps set up this initiate to be killed in 1 turn with the infusions.
Yeah, we also see how you thin to 0 without thinning to 0. Royal Decree as a last card is exactly that.
Yeah, who needs decree when you're just able to get everything anyways?
Maria Cultist actually reached the level of Priestess deck thinning everything out thanks to battle stations partially.
When I say I like hyper thin,
this is
decks
exactly
like this
what
that give
you
us
mean.
a bad name.
My duty? To
Yeah.
stick my nose where it doesn't belong.
Okay, this time we have quite a few initiates again. Played in a different diagonal formation. Previously it was 3 in a row, so a different fate for them.
Yeah, we very well could see Vigo creating yet another informant here. There's a little bit of a high roll needed for that to happen. If you can get the second informant, that just helps you clog a Magpie's board even more and gives you even more cultists being played, another full power initiate. Quite scary.
Okay, another cultist killed. Dandelion joined their own cult.
So between the purifiers and the bits and pieces of early damage, Magpie is doing a good job at controlling the original infusion engines, but Gravesh decides to pull the trigger on these initiates, and let's just say that's a pretty good point swing. Does kill a unit and give a bit more versatility now for Magpie though, to play things however he pleases.
So there is a spot for Reardane if you want your Vernacell out of the deck.
We fight to the last.
Opts for playing the trap as well. The trap could have been avoided, right?
Would have been avoided?
As in, did he want that trap?
I
Playing
believe
for...
so. Actually, is it better than a 6 power Deadeye? Probably. I mean, granted, the 6 power Deadeye is possibly 7 or 8 power because of the Isengrim.
Infusion. Vilgefortz has his own infusion, so... yeah, okay. Displays for more value. Not played from the bronze, but yeah. This game feels a bit different for some reason.
Yeah.
The gap is wider.
I think Gravesh has somehow managed to just stick more initiates, it feels. And maybe he's just put the infusions together a bit nicer.
Well,
and that's probably it probably comes down to Magpie playing that early double Thana Archer before to really just make the infusions a lot more difficult. And I think that did pay off in the last game, but no similar play happening. This game does give Cultists a chance to just do their thing and pop off, basically.
Time for you to die, Dwan.
Yeah, both players struggling with the board space here. This illusionist is not gonna have space to actually spawn something.
We gather sacred.
I don't know why you wouldn't just play that front row to open up the illusionist to actually spawn something of value. Not that it really matters,
Yeah,
but
it didn't matter in the end. So after the rematch, Cultists actually claimed the win, claimed the victory. So Gravesh is ahead, and we are not seeing Cultists anymore. If Magpie is playing Nilfgaard, then it will be a different sort of Nilfgaard. Now we see elves again.
okay, so this is very interesting. We actually see the Skellige coming through on blue coin. This is typically a lot more of a red coin deck. But yeah, you really do want to set up your KO Troll, you want to set up your Canute to be able to deal with this Angus, deal with this Vanadane. But it does force you to commit quite hard, which is why on red coin, if you do those kinds of plays, then you're able to usually push that into a win on even against this elf list. But there's not going to be such luxury here for Magpie because you can't really win on even from blue coin.
Yeah, a bad math is usually included into that equation if you are winning somehow on the equal cards. Well, I watched your stream today. That happened. In case of bad math is occasionally just devastating, but yeah, not having a location developed here makes it a bit more problematic dealing with Angus, but you don't have to deal with Angus just yet, since you are not seeing the cargo boxes anywhere. So you get enough time for the board setup. But yeah, Gravesh doesn't know that there is no access to the cargoes anyway. So he makes the play, commits the location round 1. Oh, sorry, Magpie, yeah.
So what do you do now as Gravesh? Do you try to get your neophytes through?
Like, you'd consider the verification on location potentially.
Oh yes, you certainly that should just happen here. You're losing the round. Just get rid of this carryover.
Now, what I mean that it would have been nice if you actually had the boxes as well, but yeah, he might try to like. Without verificating it, he also gets the carry like a good card out of Magpie if he sees like Olgierd being committed here.
Yeah.
So maybe
Olgierd, click onto the Vanadane. I mean, but there's no okay.
Yeah, at the moment there is no reason, so I would not expect Magpie to.
Well, if the cargo does come down,
well,
then
there is a fork at the moment.
You're probably not killing both of them in one turn. So you kind of want to kill one of them in a turn here just to ensure that the cargo isn't able to.
Okay,
do you see the Canute being used?
That Knut going to 6 is not what you usually need. But it's good enough, and yeah, as you pointed out, you want to answer one of them too immediately. But how do you answer now if the cargoes land?
The answer is I think you don't.
Because
you could maybe
there usually is some way in that deck, but yeah.
You could have actually gone for perhaps like a Martyrum onto the Drakar that turn. That would then allow the Canute to deal 7 damage onto the Angus, I believe.
Okay, yeah.
Actually, yeah, and that could just be done in one turn, so that's actually fine. What did Skrull get rid of? Just killed the Vanadane, I guess. Doesn't really matter. This is why I might have preferred to see the verification earlier, because you know that Magpie is running 2 Doom Viandras in this list. And if you play the verification, then you're basically just shutting down this Vision card completely.
Yeah, and now if you're playing verification for -6,
This is a bit late.
yeah, you need to...
Like, you already let them get a free clash to play for 7 points, and it's not what you want to see as the elf player. This is, of course, just an awkward matchup because Lob just feasts on these wide decks, like absolutely feasts, eats them up for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Could snack on them all day long.
But funnily enough, people are still picking elves for their lineup, so if the elves work out, yeah, we've seen them actually contesting cultists in a previous game, so in first edition of the previous game. The second one wasn't that close, but yeah, it's still a choice for the deck. And I think if there is a dwarf deck somewhere, it's not been found yet. Lerio made the first attempt. Maybe no one else had time to test it, but yeah, Squirtle definitely would want more deck variety come in Gwentfinity, so we'll see.
I think there's probably space for some experimentation with like a dwarf precision strike hybrid, perhaps.
Every fortress has a weak point.
Transformation everywhere.
So, I like this. Gravesh going so wide here, such that the best way for Magpie to catch up is just with the Svarblood. And if you're able to force the Svarblood out, then they can only get it back with the Sigdreafer's Right, and at that point they don't get the deploy, and you're in a much nicer position. You also have the verification, which you could play for 10 tempo here if you need it. You could also, if you could save it and instead of you just let this clash location go through, you use it instead on the Svalbard Totem, then you're able to also just completely shut down the Svalbard, not let them get any kind of board clear onto you. And this Squirrel basically just played for 0 points because it got set afire by the Incinerating Trap. Maybe some charred Squirrel is on the menu for dinner.
And I guess Gravesh was considering using the Knut order, but... Oh, Magpie, sorry. For some reason the player names didn't swap for me in my mind, but I can read this is Magpie. So yeah, Magpie... Actually, like, cost him a pretty great card. Now, if Babsy Boing passes...
Yeah.
Well, yeah, especially since you cannot Siggy. Alright.
Yeah, because the Knut click I don't think would even have gotten you ahead here. Particularly because you'd be dealing like excess damage, so you could actually just play the Olgierd, click the Knut, and that would allow you to get ahead. But after that, it starts to get really awkward. Does Gravesh feel comfortable enough to play Waylays from hand here, knowing that it will be making your Similar smaller for later? If we do see the Olgierd come down. Or Magpie feeling under pressure, the blob is out.
Yeah, the blob is out. Well, it can come back with Siggy's Right later on, but now the points. The question is the points, and Gravesh says, I had enough, stop blobbing around, and goes out, keeping the seamless cards. Basically, the seamless package to the next round. Has also mulligans sorted for himself.
Yeah, there are 2 draws, which are 2 mulligans, which are forced, as you say. So you better hope that what you're getting is playable here. Serpent Trap should be pretty nice. But you brick the other waylay, which is not ideal. And we'll see if Magpie decides to go for a bleed here. If you committed the Swellwood, I think you're much more likely to be going for a bleed. And you see a very early maxi. Draws are looking alright.
Yeah.
Might have liked to have access to this totem though. That might just end up being the Neomancy target.
Bam! +9. This color is just, yeah, from the School of Point Slam.
That's my favorite school.
Wherever the road takes me.
Yeah, this location is still in play and still doing things. Second Dwimviandra is being deployed. Not that often you see double Dwimviandra get value with Gear Troll there.
Especially against a list that runs verification. Like that's insane. But the verification being used to force the Svalbard out in the round 1 by outputting a lot of tempo. Now, this Olgid is gonna get a lot of value.
Death holds no surprises.
No surprise. Okay,
Probably. I don't think you play into this anymore as Magpie. Drakkar is just slow at this point. It's not really achieving anything. And you should know that this last trap is a Serpent Trap or a Pitfall Trap. But, I mean, if it was Pitfall, then the Olgid would have triggered it.
Yeah.
So, you know this is Serpent Trap. So I'm pretty sure you just have to pass here as Magpie. And at that point, the question is, how does Gravesh get out of this as cheaply as possible?
So this is 4, and later charge is another 4. Yeah.
Might just be forced to commit the waylay.
Yeah, the spores are not doing much here, and well, the heist is also quite useless. Well, it has a target to teleport, but
It's
not
up.
exactly enough to catch up without like the full leader.
Yeah, so
we see.
I think you just have to. I think the correct play here would just be to use Arcane Tome onto a waylay.
Is it? Well, yeah.
Playing like that gives you a bit more thinning, right? Although that's assuming you don't get a waylay that's at the bottom of your deck, which is a 1 in 3, I suppose.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So yeah, 1 leader charge is necessary.
Maybe you should be like splitting your premiums or not have like a non-premium Vanadane and premium waylays or something.
Well,
in case you get into this exact situation.
That's basically what you have to do with every deck in Gwent. So honestly, there are situations available with, especially with things like Henry, I suppose, giving you some random cards that would allow deck shuffling, but it's a bit tiresome, and the percentage of those situations is pretty low.
I mean,
but if you're
I
playing,
mean, like, there's a reason that in a Nilfgaard deck with Marines, you play 1 premium and 1 standard copy of each bronze, and then you actually need to make sure you keep track of which one is which that you click on. See, last mulligan draws into the Svalbard Totem, but I think Magpie kept the hand from the Maxi, so that is well known to be about to occur. Nice snipe on the Pitfall Trap, killing one of the Bear Abominations. I think if it got split perfectly evenly, they both would have flipped, and you would have been 6 points in the red here, but that goes pretty well.
That actually worked out nicely.
What is this tome doing?
This tome is, having interesting targets for itself. You cannot cargo on things like Seamless, and, well, Trickster ain't doing much as well. So, you're hoping for some spore value, but nothing is coming out of there, most likely. Especially
And
since
you
you are
can't
also
give-
allowing your opponent to play like heatwave spores for probably a better point differential than yours ever do.
And you're also staring down the barrel of a Sove here, where with the leader it's guaranteed to be playing for at least a 20-point Sove, but it might be able to be set up even more with the Svarblood. And you see the Svarblood coming down here. The Bear Abomination being damaged just to ensure that we spawn the Fnatic. Next turn, I believe you can even greed the 6 power half-through. Can you? Actually, not quite. Or it depends on what's played. If there's like, oh no, sorry, nah, it's just not gonna happen.
Yeah, insane value
Actually,
of Arcane Tome for the spores available.
Yeah, you could use Sigvald offensively actually to finish off a half-through in this kind of situation.
Okay, so we do see the seamless.
Act your age. At 2 centuries, you behave like you're barely one. Shown us the way. For the daisy of the valley.
And the front row
Nice
is
play here.
field. And if you do flip the Fanatic, the Bloodthirst kinda clears.
Yeah,
but as
I
you mentioned, the
believe
offensive Sigvald should be enough.
Yeah.
Wait,
or alternatively, you'll
there
be
is
able
only
to
a
use
half row. I missed that. There is no alternative soft target, right? Kinda.
Oh yeah, both scrolls were played already, I believe. Yeah, so it's only the half-through. But you can't even play so offensively right now until the sirens are cleared. I don't think Sigvald is getting enough damage onto him to actually kill the
because
siren in this
you
case.
have to flip the totem. So yeah, what we see is the back row, and it's enough anyway. The Arcane Tome is okay. A 0-point play. Into a non-0-point play. And Magpie takes it, but yeah, elves are having all sorts of questionable matchups. So it's 1-1.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. It really does seem like whoever ends up getting a win with the elves is probably just going to win the series.
See, elves against Enslave Assimilate.
Stiff neck.
So, Gravesh not giving up on his pointy-eared friends, while Magpie is going for his abduction toxicologist Henry list. We don't see Henry in hand. What is Elf's hand quality? Got himself a heist, got Angus. Wait, did Gravesh just ignore his mulligan face? I guess so. He has ADC as well.
Has the consistency tools.
Yeah, but yeah, it's fun to see like 3 mulligans just forfeited.
Yeah.
By the elf deck of all things.
I shall not repeat.
So excluding the draw, right now elves are 2 wins and 7 losses. Right now. So we'll see if that changes after this series. Notably, Miamon was able to get a win with his elves without needing to lose beforehand. And the only other win came from Mystical after denying the reverse sweep. So yeah.
Okay. So
Actually, no. I think
I think he
It wasn't
won.
higher versus Sweet. Yeah. But it still had one loss beforehand. Anyways, let's talk about the current elves. We see the Angus and the Vanadane coming down, set up nicely with the cargo. But Magpie has one marine already. This is the kind of game where, like this elf list, now the ADC in particular is gone, there's no tutors. So you can use Toxicologist on whatever you like. It goes to the bottom of the elf stack, and you're able to set up your abduction in whatever way you so please. You could put Vanadane to the bottom of the deck, granted. It's not great because then the infusion can be cleansed by the cargo. But you open up your abduction to get some nice assimilate triggers with the waylays that the Vanadane will spawn.
Yeah.
And that is exactly what we see happening.
Nice call on that. There is also a coup for this round. Oh wait, yeah. Can you get it down enough? There is no like, chance.
Doesn't matter because it's getting cargoed anyways, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I was just thinking, can we see some mad waylay gameplay from the Nilfgaard? But most likely not. Especially with Beller in hand, even if you try to do something, well, your target of choice will be purified and carved.
That's what they called me.
Like, the Gravesh needs to be saving a neophyte to transform the Simless in this kind of matchup. Because otherwise, you already see that Magpie is able to set up his own Simless with the waylays from the Vanadane here.
The woods abandoned. Join us instead and defend the valley.
Can either use them to contest the round here. Would be nice if there was actually assimilate triggers. But, I mean, the Vanadane itself being alive means that he'll spawn an extra Deadeye. So these waylays are playing for 9 points. You have this Marine ticking for 2 points per turn. If you want a bit of extra oomph, you could even play like a Vigor perhaps. Yeah. And
Moment. Must record. Get this down.
these waylays could set up a coup potentially.
Yeah, now that...
if you use them both on a Noxen first Scholar, you could get a coup. Alternatively, you could maybe try and get the Angus down.
Is there any good Angus carryover play for Nilfgaard in round 3? Can you spawn any tokens if you're wasting the Vanadine here and you're not spying him?
Well,
not really with
I don't know what you're giving spying to here, but it probably is going to be able to spawn some Deadeyes.
Yeah.
Maybe like a Venosio or something you can give spying to.
But yeah, getting the Vanadine down doesn't really make much sense considering what you have in your hand, so you don't send any of those cards back, so...
Yeah, but like here, you're forcing Gravesh to be using some of these waylays. I mean, there are 4 in deck, so it doesn't feel as bad to be using these waylays from hand. But it's still not really something you'd love to be doing. And I'm curious when this Spores will be used on the Marine. It will be a nice way to sort of cancel out the value that the Marine has. But the problem is, the Marine will tick like immediately after the Spores is used.
Yeah.
So...
Marine is just quietly rising to 14, being uninterrupted, no top deck manipulation. Such a like nice little card to have.
Yeah.
I wonder who revealed it.
I wonder, so I think they did a pretty good job from memory though.
Yeah, and we... Knowing that Lionheart usually with Tia had like a name for the caster, so if we go for the caster duo name, we can easily go for Bacala. Makes a lot of sense considering our last reveal.
Yes, that's true. It was quite fitting indeed.
So okay, we see Angus getting cooled, and Magpie is still ahead. His Marine actually dodged the spores.
Yeah. Torres took the bullet, or took the mushrooms in this case, I guess.
Not exactly mushroom, but still.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at the art of spores, it's pretty concerning what's happened to that skull. Poor Torres. But this verification is a complete dead card for Gravesh. There's literally no artifact on board. It's no target whatsoever. So if you want to contest, you have to play the Isengrim.
Yeah, do you do any math on your you don't know what opponent has, so committing leader charges is
yeah,
not really
this
that great.
Marine is going to be ticking twice more, 2 points each time. So you just need 7 points to get ahead here for Magpie, and both of these cards are going to do that, I would assume, quite easily.
Is there Artorius low roll? I don't think so. Well, Nausicaa, Toxicologist.
Actually, Vigor might need to hit Marine, I think.
Well,
I think if Vigor missed Marine, it might have been a bit of a problem, but it does find the 3 and 4. So we'll be able to tick over the edge.
Do we see verification discarded and the leader charges used? And does Gravesh go for the hand reach? That sounds...
I think it's a fine play to make. I mean, most bronzes would be doing enough points here. Actually, not quite. Most bronzes might be like a point short.
Like, you are still gaining 4, so...
I mean, knowing that it's a Stefan, I think that it is the correct play to make for sure, to use a leader here.
He's just seen the... yeah, okay. Nice. Nice read as well. Trade in 1 leader charge. Is acceptable, although, yeah, we've seen Calvit, so the top decks come in. Anyway, Stefan is going out in round 1 as well. A bit of an overachiever when a small amount of points would have been enough. Stefan decided to go all in.
Stefan also went to the School of Points. I mean, he graduated with like top honors.
Yeah, with aces.
Yes. So this heist is looking real sketchy in a short round now if we see a bleed coming through. But the abduction...
Oh,
you needed to cut the coup to actually get the Henry to set up the abduction. So, wonder what shenanigans we're gonna get.
Okay.
Ramon.
Ramon is working with the soldiers, right? He's not locked to any soldier works. So
the right-hand saboteurs are soldiers. I think that's about it for the elves. However,
Renegade.
there is Nausicaa, so you kind of wouldn't mind putting that to the bottom of the deck to be used with the abduction, right? Yeah. Probably just give an Ivar.
Yeah, it's adrenaline condition already being met. Oh well, not exactly. With 4 cards, it's actually not.
Edna and Rosa, I must attend
And gives her one.
their well-being.
Ooh, Oak seems good here.
Okay, so like alright, but yeah, okay. Gravesh is like going, what the hell is this Ramon doing in my hand now? Well, wait, no soldier attack, right?
Yeah, no, Neophyte's a bandit, not a soldier, so not useful for
I got overly excited for no reason. I thought that, those...
if it was the right-hand saboteur, you would be correct to be excited, but not quite.
You get archers and... okay.
Yeah. I mean, the good thing here, though, is that the deception should effectively just get you out, I would imagine. And Magpie... Yeah, I don't know. This abduction is not looking hot, I think. You can use it to play an Ivar, but it's not amazing. Okay, just a heist coming down.
Okay, Oxenford Scholar, is it your time? The tokens
Maybe
have
considering
been...
is it worthwhile to go neophyte, but yeah. I'm pretty sure Scholar is just the go-to here.
Gotcha, pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah, four cards at 11 or higher provisions, and not the greatest start thought, but, no, it will have to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, this Ramon sacrifice or offering is pretty good for Magpie, and nothing stops him as well. So there will be a bunch of neophytes.
So the Deadeyes are at 6, right?
Yes.
And the cargo works very nicely with the neophytes in the short round. But here's why I don't like giving... I guess the Ramon is good in that it's, well, by far the least points of whatever you gave, whatever you could have given Gravesh. Granted, it could have backfired if there was a Fryhead Saboteur. But you're not going to get a chance to actually play it yourself when it could have been a lot of points with, like, say, the Nausicaa being the next top deck.
But yeah, Magpie actually can do the math. He knows the trap most likely, he knows the last card, he knows the leader value, so...
Yeah, so Deception is just a nice 18 points. Each neophyte transform is plus 4 points. So that's actually basically just 30 points on board.
A bit.
Gravesh gets out with just playing the Ramon, I'm pretty sure.
I'm a bit concerned with this play, because Magpie just stops here now.
Yeah, I don't like that abduction at all. I don't think it achieved anything. Like that, yeah, that's just not good play.
So with the board state where you can actually do the math, I think Magpie might have rushed a bit. Like we talked about Ramon being possibly combined with a Saboteur. But
I mean, like, sure, you know Ramon is the last card in hand. Yeah. But then actually do the maths to make sure you're, actually pushing for a 2-0. Because you know this last card is being played no matter what, because the orders need to be clicked at minimum.
Yeah, so a bit weird.
And with the Simulus now for 4 Waylays, each spawning a 6-power Deadeye, I think that this is actually enough going through game.
Are we actually seeing elves being victorious? Is this the calendar date?
The Simulus is so strong, I don't know if it would have actually gone any differently if there was an extra card here from Magpie. But
yeah.
How could you possibly have survived peer review?
Be a fun little 50-50 with the trap. You want the Nausicaa to live so that the battle prep gets the extra 2 boost, but it does not live, so you lose out on the 2 points. Granted, it doesn't really matter because Simulus is going to board wipe you anyways. And with all this
tokens being 6s is perfect for the leader, but
yeah, the more I think about it, I don't like that bleed, unless I think Magpie maybe overstated, like thought he had more pushing power than he did. Because if you don't get the Simulus out on the bleed there, you just lose the game, which is what we saw just then. And like, let's say just for argument's sake that Magpie still had the abduction, I was playing for 10 points. I don't think that makes the difference there either. Yeah. And we'll see if it does run up against the elves.
So, Captain Iago, everyone's potentially favorite card that they don't see played at all.
Yes.
is making an appearance here. You can look at it. Deploy, gain as many coins as you spend this turn.
And look at the premium as well, with the nice little like wisps of wind just floating over the card. The lovely magpie in the foreground. That's some nice animation. Gwent really does have some of the best art, doesn't it?
Yeah. I showed it to the viewers, but yeah, my webcam is somewhere over there, so they only seen part of it. Okay, so Magpie with Nilfgaard and Slave 6 on the blue coin this time around.
Notably, no Torres, no Henry to start with here. So, not able to do as many shenanigans, although granted, this is the kind of matchup where Torres and Henry are not as good. Maybe you would have been able to get enough copies to do shenanigans, but without like informants to copy spenders, I think you're not having a very good time. Because this is the problem playing Assimilate against Syndicate. You need to both have ways to get coins, have ways to get spenders, and if your copies aren't doing that, then you're just not getting the value that you need.
Perhaps he decides that... Yeah, go.
You go.
Yeah, you go.
I was just going to say, it's a bit of like an interesting dilemma here with the Marine. You can choose to not Crystal Scholar, in which case it's quite vulnerable to the Horse and Junior. Or you can choose to use the Crystal Skull, in which case, if it gets more else, you're running quite the risk of just losing on even here.
Okay, we see the self-poison here, knowing that the Crystal Skull is on the board, and we also don't see the connecting poison unless you are considering the Shady Vendor. So Gravesha is just collecting some coins so far. And gets another Kalkstein for himself. If only he can reach it, it would be an army of Kalksteins. But yeah. Not necessary here, so still needs a card to play. I wouldn't believe that he goes all in here after playing a proactive Kalkstein to begin with.
Just high roll, open sesame, carry over. I don't think we've had a single missed open sesame. I think there was one time where Shady Vendor missed a payday when they were looking for it in the last series, but otherwise, they seem to always be hitting the open sesame.
Maybe something was changed and we're just unaware. But yeah, Shady Vendor is working out pretty well for all the players. Anyway.
Again, just to play around the morales, Magpie takes the slightly worse battle prep onto the Toxicologist, which isn't a soldier. Doesn't get the extra 2 boost as it would have gotten if used on the Marine. But using the battle prep on the Marine, which is already going so tall, you just don't want to play into the morals like that. So now we see the chance, well, the Taurus has already evolved, so it's just replaying some non-starting deck unit. But we could see the Henry var Atre be played here, and I'm quite curious to see what kind of Syndicate cards we'll get.
Yeah, and knowing that Diplomacy is usually not that great while playing against Syndicate. Well, unless you have a full Syndicate setup on your side of the board. Yeah, Henry is also a card that can miss, but there is a bunch of golds.
You could roll maybe... Well, okay, I was going to say Moros is epic, so you can't get him. You can maybe roll King of Beggars and like a Jacques, perhaps. That could be pretty juicy.
Yeah. Is this the Taurus? Yeah. Getting played immediately.
This is just a glorified Rune Mage for 14 provisions. Does have the Assimilate tag at least, which is quite nice.
But yeah, you're not really getting that much in terms of replay value, I suppose. So.
Especially with the fact that you already have the round win. You can't try and like get a 1-power Nausicaa.
There we go.
Because the Nausicaa's online from the Vigo. Ooh.
So
I think a mere is fine to give to the opponent here.
Yeah, the doors.
They don't have any soldiers
oh
or
wait,
aristocrat.
Oxen for Guard is a card. Not
that's
in,
true,
not in
actually.
hand, but yeah, Oxen for Soldier. Oxen for
Still,
Guard.
I don't think you want to give the Rians.
Yeah.
And the Usurper is still basically playing for more points anyways.
I must attend to their needs, their well-being.
Oh, Savola sees play. See, Henry is just making more cards featured. Like, how do you see the Savola card art otherwise in the video game?
You have to go back like 2 years to when. Remember when we had Madame Louisa Savola as the meta?
Yeah, I kind of still expected Louisa to get some sort of help. But I guess this is the ability that transfers into Gwentfinity.
I always found it weird how Madame Louisa really just is anti-synergistic with off the books. Like if you're running a tribute deck, you want to run off the books, but then the Madame Louisa just doesn't really work with that leader. Like I thought it would be cool if you maybe if she gave like a further discounts, you could stack the discount with off the books. That could be quite fun.
But also we had a long period of time when she was combat with Savola, so maybe it's time to get give another card's chance to shine, like Captain Iago. This is a pretty decent spine target.
We do actually have devotion here for Magpie, correct?
Should be, yeah. There are no like royal decrees or anything.
Yeah, so despite not actually, so despite not running devotion cards himself, the Horson Jr. will work targeting any unit with a 6 damage. Do you think you choose here?
No, I'm thinking like, do we just take a Jackal? The poison is, well, has some potential. There are no experimental remedies.
Yeah, I think if you were a Open Sesame deck, well, actually there is an Open Sesame, the Street Urchins is quite useful when it comes to trying to trigger that. But without a Line Pockets leader, I think it's hard to get those through. The Horson does just clean up the Sea Jackal anyways. And maintains this tempo. Now, what is Abduction doing? It's only pulling Kalkstein, I believe, right? Because the Usurper and the Raids are too expensive.
Usurper and 3 in suboptimal provisions, so at the moment only Purifies available, which is a nice card to have if you need, but yeah, exactly if you need, and at the moment there is no necessity for that.
Yeah, it's really only good against the poisons. It does give you 2 coins as well. So maybe you purify this.
Well, you are bleeding. And there is a poison threat, you might consider that. What's your alternative? You don't really have any money to spend with the scoundrel. Or not the money, but yeah. What are you pulling even? Mostly force.
Yeah, but yeah, without money, it's just awkward, right? Like, I don't know if you even care about killing the unit and collecting the bounty if you don't actually have a spender. Okay, now the abduction is actually doing something. That's nice. And now, like, if you want to use, say, the Bank or the Akarontia as Gravesh, you're going to just be damaging your own horse in here even more. So we still have Azor, which could be played if you want to try to protect it's really just the Vilgeforts now that you need to protect against since the crew's been used. I guess Stefan is also a bit of a threat as well, to be fair.
Yeah, so defender, a KOB going onto the front row as well.
Nice RNG there. And gets ahead barely, so...
But everything is in a killing range of Stefan if you want to deny a spender in KOB.
That would actually be nasty, because... Yeah, Gravesh is at the point where he is kind of struggling for spenders. Probably end up having to bank for another spender here. Yeah, I'm surprised. I guess there isn't any assimilate on board. Oh no, there's one assimilate on board. Maybe you want to try and play the Terra Nova first. You could also just use the Horseman from Abduction to clear the Scarabs as well. I'm surprised that we didn't see the Conjurer's Candle used to boost the Scarabs. But, I mean, that's enough. Magpie just gets out. Maybe, I guess, was Magpie just looking to force the Azar out? So with no defender, you're confident enough that with the now Abduction onto Horsen, Terra Nova onto Horsen, Stefan, the Vilgeforts, you're able to answer all these key threats.
Yeah, defender being gone is a big win. Don't have to hunt the Scarabs anymore. Can just go to the offending cards immediately. So I don't know how I feel about that being first mulligan. Kind of wanted to see the Emir being combined with the bronze. Okay.
Yeah, it is fun though, seeing like all the different, like when they how they have changed it all. Now it's just working on neutrals with card and like tags being spread across factions like this.
It's usually called like a draft change, but yeah, seeing that occasionally happen in game would be pretty cool. So yeah, new card makes an entrance, Novigrad Rocket 3, and works as a one coin per turn engine, but also has an order. So something good, something bad can be rolled from it. It just has to have one of the 6 gang tags.
Yeah, there's a lot of possibilities for this create,
I think we discussed it on one of the streams. It was like over 40, so you cannot rely.
Yeah.
Even Rune Mage won't help you.
And also speaking of like things that won't help you, this Marine just had to try and get a lucky shot out of all these 4 provision cards in Magpie's deck. There's nothing above 4 provisions left. So it's complete luck as to when the Marine will actually start doing Marine things.
But it survives. Yes, you could have considered clicking Novigrad. If you do it confidently enough, you'll get your Brawler, for example. Yeah, how is this spending looking like?
I guess
there is a candle.
I guess you want to combine the Novigrad click with the Captain Yago turn, right?
Yeah.
Just try to maximize his value.
The Sesame is still at 6 in the graveyard.
I think you just protect the Ixora once here and then buff the Mutant Maker. That lets you protect the Ixora against a Stefan, but also lets you get the kill.
Okay, it goes for the thing, but misses a spender from there. Well, you can tribute the defense, I guess. Yeah. Okay, nice. See, all the creates making underplayed cards actually played. Ixora kind of needs to be answered, otherwise problems
King of Beggar's already out, so this fence really isn't that crazy with the tribute. But yeah, you see, lovely Horsen setting up the leader. Grant. There's not much spending actually
Yeah,
going on for Magpie here.
Nothing can be really done with this Exora, but well, she got stopped. So the main goal is achieved, and you have your Wilgefortz or Stefan on the Acherontia, so you're stopping the big cards somewhat. But yeah, we're about to see Captain as the biggest card ever. I'm a bit, yeah, sad that we didn't get a Novigrad combined with it, but I suppose it wouldn't be all that much better. Like, you need to hit a profit card from there.
This is a coup, right?
Yeah, can be, gives you profit too, so you're still not spending enough for Exora.
Yeah.
Like you can go for abduction on Kalkstein for 2 coins, but that's literally scraping the bottom of the barrel here to collect some coins.
Yeah, you're still 2 coins short in that case. If there was a 2 or a 1 power unit, Horson Jr. could actually get you enough coins to trigger the Exora.
I guess we are about to see, but it's so much worse than the Junior is there, right? Junior is a 10 provision card that can be abducted. Otherwise, you can go for Kalkstein, and then you play Scoundrel, and you kill the target, and then you spend with Oxenford Naturalist, so something can be conjured, but...
actually, I think that is the play. Granted, you need to not hit the Oxenfurt guard, because the armor would just be a little too much.
Yeah. Is it the play though? Isn't Junior from this just better? With the 7 on board available for killing, maybe.
I mean, unless Junior's actually finishing something off, he is just like a 10-point play. The Cogston is basically 7 points in that case.
Okay, so the hit... okay, yeah, he also has the Junior with the available click.
Great use of the Insanity. And I think Gravesh made a mistake choosing the Oxenfurt Naturalist from the Eventide Plunder. I'm pretty sure there were other options which wouldn't open up a coup. I think there was even a Street Urchins if memory serves. But it's like almost 4:30 AM, so like I'm not gonna trust my judgment here. This boat.
But yeah, this boat would have been a target for Wilgefortz otherwise, so it never left the dock.
This might be Captain Yago against the world.
Well, we'll see the true power of the true captain of an one and only sunk Acherontia.
The eternal fire casts a long shadow.
Not bad. Moros. Novigrad is taking away, giving us a little bit more coinage as we go. Probably need Bank to try and get a spender though. Probably need Bank to try and hit this brawler. Actually, there is something that we maybe could have mentioned earlier, is that Bank actually does shuffle your deck. So after the Henry Vaatra comes down, if you play the Bank, then you might have been able to move the Rience or the Usurper to the top of your deck.
Okay, yeah, Usurper sounds okay, but not a spender.
You could play them. I don't think it's good, but it's playable.
Actually, the poison is a choice here.
There's no pirate for Captain Yago to boost either. This is just...
Well, the pirate is coming out. Nah, it's not. And also Wilgefortz is being used defensively.
This is... some number of points. Wait.
So good. Well, that
actual huge Yago.
Yeah, so
well played.
Everyone was laughing at him. Yago is just this good. nobody was like people were already grabbing a snack for the next game in the series, and Captain Iago just came out of nowhere and slammed the board and sent the Nilfgaarden Empire with its silly marines. Like
that's last day.
That's a captain against a marine. Well, between their arms.
And that was only possible because, well, I guess the Azar was gone, but in particular, Gravesh got the last say by maintaining the card advantage in the bleed. The turn that the Azar was played, able to get ahead. Magpie does take the pass in that case. And maybe just undervalued the threat of this Yago, because you saw the Vilka forts being used defensively, which, I mean, don't you wish you had a Vilka fort onto that huge Yago?
Interesting to see like Lerio versus Mayamon. If you missed that, there was some experimental decks for certain. So tomorrow 5 p.m. same time. If you haven't dropped a follow, you can do that now. But yeah, you'll find your way in the Gwent category. 5 p.m. CST. We'll have more games for you available tomorrow and on Monday. Tomorrow Gravesh is casting, on Monday Paya. Hopefully they can